What's up, everybody? Today, we're doing something crazy. That's right, today we've got the OBS, the crew cab. We're gonna cut a big hole in the roof. A big hole in the roof. So what we've got here, we've got our legacy sliding ragtop that's gonna install on the roof of the OBS. Trying to get this thing ready for Battle in Bama. If you've been following along, we've got it all painted, we've got the flames laid down, we hand striped it. We've done the carpet with the Apex leather, we've got the seats done, and we've made a lot of headway really quick, but time's running out. So we're gonna try to get the ragtop in today. We've got our Pro Charger stuff coming up, so a lot left to do, but we're just kind of checking it off the list. So hopefully we'll have it out in Battle in Bama here pretty soon. You guys can come out and check it out. So legacy sliding ragtops from the sunroofsource.com sent us all we need to put a big hole in that roof, and should be pretty cool. So it comes with everything we need. We've got the aluminum tracks. These tracks actually run the length of the roof, so you can kind of see how long that's going to be. We got pinch well molding, all the hardware we need to install it. This is the rear trim piece, our angle brackets there, and then we've got the ragtop itself. And normally when you see these, typically see them in black. That's kind of your standard, what people go with. What we decided to do on this one, wanted it to stand out a little bit. Since we went with that tan Apex square weave carpet, this matches it almost perfect. Thought it'd be really bitching to have that up top, kind of playing off of that interior, so it should be pretty cool. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start taping off the roof. We're gonna get a rough measurement of where it's gonna be cut out. We're gonna lay down some 2-inch tape. And then we've got a lot of measurements to pull to make sure that we put this hole in the right place. We don't wanna mess that up. And I wanna try to get that done today while the guys are here, because that's a big piece of roof to cut out, and I definitely don't want it falling on me. So let's get the roof wiped down and we'll start laying out some tape, get going. Ooh, gotta go get some more Endasa tape. That's gonna be a big hole. So now that we've got that taped off, what we're gonna do is we're gonna assemble the frame. We're kind of gonna go step by step through this. We've had a lot of you guys ask about a how-to video on installing this, so we're gonna do that. The good thing about what Sunroof Source has sent us, it's pretty self-explanatory. They give you really good instructions. You can go online, they have a couple of videos. Pretty straightforward to do. The first thing we wanna do is assemble this. So we have our corner pieces that come packed. They even label them for you. We've got rear, we've got the fronts. And the holes aren't really drilled in the same spot, so it's really simple to figure out where these went. So you can see those holes line up with our side track. If we slide the rear track on it, you can see all of those line up. So what we're gonna do is loosely bolt together each corner, then that way we can get an actual true measurement of what we've got going in the roof and then transfer that over to the truck. Okay, so now that we've got center on here, we've got center on the truck, we know we can match that up. We need to make sure that it's square. This is really important because if it's out of square and we cut the hole, it could be crooked, and we obviously don't want that. So we're just gonna lay the square in here. We're gonna go through, we're gonna snug the corners up. We should be good to go. All right, so we've got our square sitting in here. Basically what we're looking for is we want the square to touch all the way around. And we're looking pretty good right here, but it opens up right in this corner. So we're gonna move it a little bit. There we go. Nice and square. Okay, so now we've got our center, we've got that lined up, we've got it positioned where we want it. I've pulled a ton of measurements just making sure it is exactly centered. So pulling off the door jamb, pulling off the front, pulling off these body lines, just to make sure that everything is where we want it and it's not crooked whatsoever. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hold it down and we're gonna make a mark all the way around the frame where we're gonna make the cut in the roof. Now there's 2 step downs on this frame. You want to cut on the first step down closest to you. Don't cut on the second one. And I think we're pretty much ready from that point. So we're going to make a mark all the way across. We're going to make a couple of marks right here. We're going to pull another line, and then we should have our mark to be able to go ahead and cut this roof out. Okay, so we've got our marks. We're going to pull the frame off of it. We're going to connect some of these lines with a straight edge or another piece of tape we're going to pull out, and then we're going to cover up our interior, and we should be able to cut it out. So now that we're ready to cut, there's a few different things we can do. We could use an air saw, jigsaw, sawzall, or we could use a cutoff wheel. I was leaning toward a cutoff wheel. That's just what I like to use. But you do create a lot of heat with that, and you're obviously throwing sparks. So if you are going to go that route, you got to make sure you're really protecting everything on the vehicle and around it. I kind of think what I'm leaning toward at the moment is using a sawzall. It's pretty big and beefy for something like this, but we do have some big braces that we have to cut through. They're really tall. If we were to use the jigsaw or the sawzall, which if you're doing this at home and you've not really done it before, that's probably what I would recommend that you use. Really easy to work with, but you've got a very small depth that it's going to cut. So we'd also have to go back in, measure out those braces, and recut all those. So I think we're going to run with the sawzall. We're going to drill a hole in a corner to have a good starting point, and we're just going to see how it starts out. The thing we want to do is make sure we have a brand new blade on it that cuts really well, and we want to run it really slow. And whose idea was this? It was actually his.
Oh, Ben, you're guilty.
Okay, boys and girls, we've got a big hole in the roof. We've got it trimmed out. Everything's looking good. So here's where we are at the moment. Did you see the headliner? How crazy is that? So we've been looking for a headliner and no luck, no junkyards, no repops, anything like that. So we've been trying to figure out what we were going to do. And now that we've done the ragtop, which we kind of did that because we knew, well, for one, it's cool. Secondly, we wouldn't have so much of a headliner to build because the back panel is a plastic piece. We'd have to do the sides in the front. So in my mind, I'm thinking, well, we're doing something cool. We're getting a ragtop, and it's going to be pretty simple to do the headliner. So what I decided to do, once we got this cut out, I grabbed Bob and I said, hey, let's hold the headliner up in there. I'll go ahead and trace it out, which is what you would do if you have a stock headliner that you're putting back in there. You're basically going to hold that back up. You're going to trace the inside of this so you can cut the hole out of your headliner, and then you'll kind of pinch mold that back in on this aluminum track. So what I decided to do was stick our fiberglass painted headliner back in here, go ahead and mark it out just in case for some reason we had to use it. So as we're getting it back out, there's a big crack in it. Obviously, there's quite a few of them where it was coming apart. I decided to grab one of those, and it just all came off. And actually, it looks like we're going to be able to save it. So that's a really good thing that happened today. Just thinking we're about to tear it up, we actually saved it. So we've got to scrape off some of that old foam, which is going to be totally fine. I think we're going to get back down to the baseboard, and it looks like we're going to be able to cut that, wrap it, and put it back in here. So that made for a good day in itself right there. So here's where we are at the moment. We've got all of the studs back in it. We've got all the nuts back on it. What we've done is we've ran a bead of sealant all the way around each one of these tracks. What that's going to do is just weatherproof it basically. So any water that gets under these tracks is not going to get into the truck. So we're going to go around now, we're going to snug all these down. We should be able to start putting the Ragtop itself on there. So we're going to get all this snug down. We're going to see if we can get the Ragtop on here, get it fitting, and man, that'll be a good day. So let's get it snug down. Also, if you remember those corner pieces that we mocked it up with, we're putting those back in here. Those are going to go on the inside of the truck as a support at all four corners. So we're just snugging these down right now. You do not want to go crazy, so maybe better for you just to hand tighten with a ratchet wrench. But I'm just letting it get snug, and we're calling that it. So you can see in the back, we don't have any in here yet because those are actually on the canvas itself. So let's go get that. Okay, now that we're snugged down, all that looks good. It's nice and flush with the roof, so I'm liking that. We're gonna get everything cleaned up before we get the top up there. I'm gonna go ahead, we've got plastic and a weld blanket in the floor, just protecting everything. I'm gonna get all that out, cleaned up. We're gonna blow this thing off. We're gonna wipe the top down because we don't wanna get any stuff on our canvas, especially since we went with a lighter color. I'll show you a good way to how you protect it from getting anything on it later on, but right now we don't want to have dirty hands. We don't want to have anything like that. We want to keep it as clean as we can. So let's get it cleaned up and then we'll try to get it on there. So one thing that I actually overlooked and forgot to mention that I think's good to point out, since this is more of kind of a how-to thing, a lot of you guys have asked me to kind of go step by step through this because you'd like to install one on your truck. Just a side note too, very easy to install. As long as you pull measurements, make sure you keep it square. It's really easy. It's really an easy install. I would not be scared of it. You just got to have enough guts to cut a hole in your roof. But other than that, I cannot express how simple it is to put one of these together. But one thing, like I said, doing the how-to television for so long, what we would tend to look for were things that people didn't always talk about. So looking through instructions, looking through how-to videos of people installing these tops, one thing that I did notice that no one talked about, and I almost did the same thing, so I'm going to explain it. I won't be able to actually show it to you, is putting the sliders actually into the track. Now those little sliders that are on the front of the top, they're just little like plastic nylon squares. And what they do is they slide into this aluminum track, and that's what allows the top to slide back and forth. It's just a guide that keeps it in there and you can slide it around. But nobody shows those going in, and I didn't really understand why. And I thought to myself, like, gotta show that. Well, I almost left that out too. So what you have to do to be able to slide those in, because you're probably gonna get to that point, and the next step that I see that most of them show are you bolt the back end. If you bolt the back end, you're going to start scratching your head because you're like, wait a second, I got to get the front end. I got to slide it. So what you're actually going to do is you're going to put these nylon plastic inserts in this track first. And the only way that I see to do that, and the only way that I've done it on some of them in the past, is you're going to have to raise the side tracks up. So you might have to loosen up the first few bolts down through here, loosen up the nuts, raise up the track a little bit, and then you can slide it in. Once you do that, then you can go bolt the top end from the back side. So just something to note before you get too far, you bolt that in, then you're trying to figure out how to get the sliders into place. So super easy still, you just have to raise it up either in the front or the rear, slide those tracks in, and then it'll move freely. You'll be good to go from there. So now, before we bolt the back in, We did the headliner option, which means we have a piece of material that's on the underside of the top. That way we're just not looking up at the bare top on the inside of the truck. So we need to install that next before we can bolt the rear section of the top in. Once we do that, man, we're almost done. So it's that quick that we were able to get this thing in here. And then we can focus on trying to get our headliner in. But let's see if we can get the headliner that's on the top installed, and then we'll go from there. Man, we are super close. All right, so if you opted for the headliner on the top, you're gonna have this little piece right here hanging off the back of the top. That's your headliner. I would recommend getting that if you can. I think it was only like another 70 bucks. It definitely makes it look finished on the inside, plus goes along with our interior since it's already tan. So here's how I like to install this. If you have the headliner, it's gonna come with some self-tappers and this aluminum trim that has 5 holes in it. This aluminum trim is gonna go back here toward the back, and it's gonna sandwich the headliner to the aluminum track that came with the top. So what we've done is we've got the top latched at the front. It's snug up there. We're gonna have this folded open, but we're gonna pull it as snug as we can. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the headliner back where it's tight, and then we're gonna tape it down to the truck. So now we've got it pulled back, kind of snug, not overly tight. We've got it taped down, so that's holding it for us. And we're gonna take our piece of aluminum trim and we're gonna drop it right in there. All right, so now we're going to unlatch the front. We're going to bolt in the back. We should be in business. Cool, on, looks snug. All right, so these black knobs that are at the front, those are tensioners. So what they do is once you get it latched, if this corner of the top is raised up any, you can tighten this down and it's gonna pull the top down. This one actually looks really good. This one over here is up a little bit. So you can see how this one's up. See, pulls it right down. Looks good, nice, I dig it. All right, looks really cool. I like it, but let's face it, it's probably never gonna be close. So let's get it opened up. I'll show you how we fold it and where it's gonna kind of stay. Unless it's raining, she's open. Or unless it's cold or snowing or nasty out or anything like that. You know what I'm saying. Guys giving me a hard time. All right, so we gotta make sure our headliner's folding up right, which it is. All right, so we're gonna pull that up. All right, so our first fold kind of starts to fold on its own. You kind of want to pull it about halfway back, and it'll start to bunch up and look funny, but that's where you want to just get out and you want to start playing with these folds a little bit as it slides back. Well, I guess that's it. So everything turned out really good. Looks great. I love a ragtop. It's so awesome. So this is super, super easy to do. I know a lot of you guys asked for a how-to. I think we pretty well covered everything. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. I will say that one thing that I did, I used a Sawzall. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you use a Sawzall. You do not need a Sawzall to cut sheet metal. The only reason that I did it was there's such big bracing in the roof of this that it's so tall that you would have to cut the top side of the roof. You'd have to go in, you'd have to mark the bottom side, then you'd have to make another cut. So you're doing it twice. I just knew that with the Sawzall that I could make a nice accurate cut and not hurt anything, and that was why I did it. If you're doing it at home, I would recommend an air saw or a cutoff wheel. Just make sure you're protecting your paint, you're taping everything up really nice. That way you're not digging in or gouging anything. If you're using a cutoff wheel, grab some welding blankets, cover everything up. That way just the sparks that you're throwing, you're not hitting in your paint and stuff like that. Because most people that are installing these, they're already on a painted vehicle. Another thing with a cutoff wheel that you'd need to know is you're obviously creating heat. When you create heat, it releases the paint. So you want to be super careful when you do that. You want to try to go slow, not create a ton of heat. And then when you go to pull that tape off, you want to be really careful because there is a chance that you could pull some of that paint off once you get it hot like that. So anyway, just wanted to make sure that I made that clear. That was the reason why I was using a Sawzall. And as you can see, we did not hurt a thing, not a scuff, a scratch, anything on it. So anyway, it turned out really good. Now over at sunroofsource.com with the legacy products and all these ragtops, they've got other colors. They've obviously got the tan, they've got black, they've got some other colors as well. They've got the headliner options. They got a lot of really cool stuff over there, so go check them out. Like I said, really easy to put one of these in. We're probably gonna end up polishing these tracks. We might paint them. I'm gonna check kind of how it rubs as it goes back and forth if we want to paint it or not. But I'm thinking polishing will look pretty good because we've got some other bright parts on here. But anyway, had a lot of fun doing this one. There's nothing better than kind of cutting a hole in your roof. So definitely check the links below. We've got t-shirts, we've got all that stuff. We've got a huge reach over on Instagram and Facebook, so hop over there and check it out. We're trying to bring some of that over here. We've been averaging 4 or 5 million a month on views over there, so that is awesome. We appreciate all the nice comments. That's why I keep coming back and doing them. You guys have been awesome. So we appreciate it very much. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Next time we'll be doing the Pro Charger accessory drive. Maybe preparing to add a little boost in this big gal. So anyway, enjoyed it. See you guys next time.